The salvage ship Lucky Star drifted through the empty darkness between stars. Inside the cramped cockpit, Kim Tae-ho stared at the scanner readings with tired eyes. 3 weeks of searching dead systems had given them nothing but scrap metal and broken dreams. "Tae-ho, you need to see this," Park Ji-woo called from the sensor station. Her voice carried an edge of excitement that made him look up from his coffee. "What is it now? Another false reading?" Tae-ho pushed himself away from his chair and floated over to where Ji-woo sat hunched over the displays. The artificial gravity generator had broken 2 days ago, and they couldn't afford to fix it until they found something valuable. "No, this is different. Look at these energy signatures." Ji-woo pointed at the screen where strange patterns danced across the display. "I've never seen anything like this before." Tae-ho studied the readings. The energy patterns were unlike anything in their database. They pulsed with a rhythm that almost seemed alive, coming from somewhere deep in the dead Keto system. According to their star charts, nothing should be out there except empty space and cold rocks. "How far?" he asked. 2 hours at full burn. "But Tae-ho, the energy levels are massive. Whatever is generating this signal has to be huge." Tae-ho felt his heart race. In 5 years of salvage work, they had never found anything this promising. Most of their finds were just broken ships or abandoned mining equipment. This could be the big score they needed. "Plot a course," he said. "Let's go take a look." Ji-woo hesitated. "Are you sure? Unknown energy signatures in dead space usually mean trouble. Military installations, alien weapons, things we shouldn't mess with. Or it could mean ancient technology that no one owns anymore. Salvage rights are clear in dead systems, Ji-woo. Finders keepers." Ji-woo sighed but began entering navigation commands. She had been working with Tae-ho long enough to know that once he made up his mind, arguing was useless. Besides, their fuel was running low, and their food supplies would last only another week. They needed this find. The Lucky Star's engines hummed to life, pushing them deeper into the Keto system. As they traveled, Tae-ho checked their equipment. Their ship was old and patched together from spare parts, but it was reliable. More importantly, it was paid for. Too many salvage crews went into debt buying fancy ships and ended up working for the banks instead of themselves. "Contact on long-range sensors," Ji-woo announced after an hour of travel. "Tae-ho, you need to see this." The main display filled with an image that made both of them stare in wonder. Floating in the void was a structure unlike anything they had ever seen. It looked like a massive crystal palace, its walls gleaming with their own inner light. The structure was enormous, easily the size of a small space station. "Beautiful," Ji-woo whispered. "And old," Tae-ho added, studying the design. The architecture was graceful but alien, with flowing lines that seemed to bend space around them. "Look at the energy readings now that we're closer." The structure was definitely in distress. Power levels fluctuated wildly, and entire sections seemed to be running on emergency backup systems. Whatever this place was, it was failing. "I'm picking up hull breaches in several areas," Ji-woo reported. "And the power core is operating at only 30% capacity." Tae-ho's engineer mind began working automatically. He could see the problems just from the sensor readings. Power conduits were failing, structural supports were weakened, and the main energy distribution network was barely holding together. "This thing is ready to collapse," he said. "But look at the materials. Those crystal formations aren't just decorative. They're part of the power system. Tae-ho, whatever this is, it's military. Look at these weapon signatures embedded in the hull. Weapons that haven't been active for centuries by the look of it. Ji-woo, this is a derelict. Ancient, powerful, and abandoned. Do you know what this could be worth?" Ji-woo pulled up their salvage database and ran comparisons. Even a small piece of the crystal technology could buy them a new ship. A complete salvage operation could set them up for life. "The structure is stable enough for EVA work," she said finally. "But Tae-ho, I have a bad feeling about this." "You always have bad feelings. That's why we make a good team. You worry, I work." Tae-ho was already pulling on his EVA suit. The structure called to him in a way he couldn't explain. Every broken system he could see represented a puzzle to solve, a challenge to his skills as an engineer. He had spent his whole life fixing things, and this beautiful dying structure needed help. "I'm going aboard to assess the situation," he said. "You monitor from here and keep the engines warm. Be careful, Tae-ho. Really careful." The EVA suit felt familiar around him as he activated the airlock. Outside, space was filled with debris from the failing structure. Pieces of crystal and metal drifted past like frozen tears. The structure's outer hull was pitted with micrometeorite impacts and stress fractures. But up close, Taeho could see that the basic design was sound. Whoever built this knew what they were doing. The crystal formations weren't just power conduits, they were also structural supports, distributing load in ways that conventional engineering couldn't match. He found an airlock that still showed signs of power and managed to activate it with his suit's universal interface tools. Inside, emergency lighting cast strange shadows on crystalline walls. The air was stale but breathable, suggesting the life support systems were still partially functional. "I'm inside," he reported to Jiwoo. "The technology is incredible. This stuff makes our best systems look like stone tools. Any signs of the original crew? Nothing. This place feels like it's been empty for a very long time." Taeho made his way toward what his suit sensors indicated was the main power core. The corridors were beautiful but somehow sad, like a great museum with no visitors. As he walked, he began to understand the structure's problems. The power systems were failing because they hadn't been maintained. Without regular care, even the most advanced technology eventually breaks down. "Jiwoo, I think I can fix this," he said. "Fix it? Taeho, we don't even know what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It's broken and I can see how to repair it. The principles are the same whether it's a coffee maker or an alien space station." That was Taeho's gift and his curse. He couldn't see something broken without wanting to fix it, even when he probably shouldn't. 3 hours into his exploration of the crystal structure, Taeho found the main power core. The chamber was massive, filled with floating crystal formations that pulsed with dying light. Energy flowed between them in patterns too complex for his mind to fully understand. But his engineer instincts could see the basic problems. "The primary energy conduits are failing," he reported to Jiwoo through his suit comm. "It looks like a cascade failure started centuries ago and has been slowly spreading. Can you fix it without getting yourself killed?" Jiwoo's voice carried worry across the static. "I think so. The technology is alien, but energy is energy. Flow patterns, resistance points, feedback loops. The math is still the same." Taeho pulled out his repair tools and began working on the nearest conduit cluster. As soon as his tools touched the crystal surface, something strange happened. Images flashed through his mind. Visions of vast spaces between stars, ships of impossible size moving through darkness, and something else, something watching him with ancient eyes. He jerked his hand back, breathing hard inside his helmet. "Taeho, what happened? Your bio readings just spiked." "I'm fine," he lied. "Just some kind of residual energy discharge. Nothing to worry about," but he wasn't fine. The visions had felt real, more real than his own memories. And in those brief moments he had sensed something alive in the structure, something that had been sleeping but was now beginning to wake up. Meanwhile, back on the Lucky Star, Jiwoo was running deep scans of the structure's database systems. What she found made her blood run cold. The translation programs were having trouble with the alien languages, but some words came through clearly. Words like prison and guardian and chains. "Taeho, I'm finding some disturbing information in the station's databanks," she called. "What kind of information?" "Warning messages. Multiple languages, most of them dead civilizations according to our database. The translations are rough, but they all say the same thing. Something about never freeing the Chainkeeper." Taeho paused in his work. "Chainkeeper? That doesn't sound good. There's more. References to something called the Void Devourers. And mentions of a guardian who became corrupted and had to be imprisoned. Jiwoo, this is just old superstition. Ancient civilizations always had stories about monsters and demons. It doesn't mean anything." But even as he said it, Taeho didn't believe his own words. The visions were getting stronger the more he worked on the power systems. He could see flashes of a cosmic war, beings of incredible power fighting something that consumed entire star systems. And at the center of it all, a figure made of living starlight who had fallen to darkness. The figure had a name. Kael Na. "Who is Kael Na?" Taeho asked aloud, not realizing he had spoken. "What? Taeho, where did you hear that name?" I don't know. It just came to me while I was working." Jiwoo's fingers flew over her console, searching the database for any reference to that name. What she found made her heart race with fear. "Taeho, you need to stop what you're doing and get back here now." "Why?" "I'm making real progress here. The power systems are responding better than I expected." Because Kael'na was the name of an ancient guardian. According to these records, he was supposed to protect the galaxy from extra-dimensional threats, but something corrupted him, turned him into the very thing he was meant to fight against. Taeho felt the crystal conduit pulse under his hands. The energy flow was definitely improving, But something else was happening too. The structure around him was coming alive in ways that went beyond simple power restoration. The other guardians were forced to imprison him. Jiwoo continued reading. They built this prison to hold him until... Taeho, the files are corrupted here. I can't read the rest. It's just stories, Jiwoo. Mythology from dead civilizations. But Taeho could feel eyes watching him from somewhere deep within the structure. Ancient, powerful, and patient. Whatever was imprisoned here had been waiting a very long time, and his repairs were giving it strength. The visions came stronger now. He saw the truth of what had happened. Kael Na had been the greatest of the Guardians, tasked with protecting the galaxy from things that existed outside normal space and time. The Void Devourers were real, creatures of pure entropy that consumed not just matter and energy, but the very concept of existence itself. For eons, Kael Na had fought them, pushing them back into the dark spaces between realities. But the constant exposure to their influence had slowly corrupted him. The Guardian who protected order had become an agent of chaos. I can see him, Taeho whispered. See who? Taeho, your bio readings are going crazy. Get out of there, Kael Na. He's here in the core chamber. He's been watching me work. The presence in the chamber grew stronger. Taeho could sense curiosity mixed with something like amusement. The ancient being was studying him, trying to understand this strange new creature that had come to repair his prison. Fascinating, a voice spoke in Taeho's mind. It was vast and old, like the sound of stars being born. You repair what you do not understand simply because it appears broken. Who are you? Taeho asked aloud. I am the Chain Keeper, the guardian of the deep dark, the watcher of the void. I am Kael Na, and I have been imprisoned here for longer than your species has existed. Are you dangerous? I was, perhaps I still am. But you intrigue me, small engineer. Your species is unknown to me. What are you called? Human, my name is Taeho. Human, Kael Na repeated the word like he was tasting it. Tell me, Taeho of the humans, why do you repair my prison? Do you not fear what might be contained within? I saw that it was broken, Taeho said simply. I fix broken things. It's what I do. The presence in his mind seemed to consider this. Remarkable. Every other species that has discovered this place either fled in terror or attempted to destroy it entirely. None have ever tried to repair it. Maybe they didn't understand how it worked, or perhaps they were wise enough to leave well enough alone. Jiwoo's voice cut through his helmet comm. Taeho, please. Whatever you're talking to in there, just stop and come back to the ship. But Taeho found he couldn't stop. The repair work had become something more than just fixing broken machinery. Each connection he restored, each energy conduit he repaired, brought him deeper into communion with the ancient guardian. And Kael Na was learning from him, studying human thought patterns and emotions. Your mind is different, Kael Na observed. Chaotic yet ordered. You hold contradictory concepts without breaking. This is useful. Useful for what? They are coming back, Taeho of the humans. The Void Devourers. I can feel them stirring in the spaces between realities. They have been waiting for my power to return. As if summoned by those words, alarms began blaring throughout the structure. Jiwoo's panicked voice filled his helmet. Taeho, we have massive contacts on long-range sensors. Something is coming. Something big. The crystal structure shuddered as Taeho's repairs brought the main power core to full capacity for the first time in thousands of years. Energy flowed through conduits that had been dormant for eons, and the entire prison began to wake up from its long sleep. Taeho, you need to see this. Jiwoo's voice crackled with static and fear. The energy output from that structure just increased by 300%. And those contacts I mentioned? They're not ships. Taeho felt the change immediately. The presence of Kael Na in his mind grew stronger, more defined. The ancient guardian was testing his restored power, flexing abilities that had been chained for millennia. What are they then? Taeho asked, still working on the final power connections. I don't know. They're massive, bigger than anything in our databases. And they're moving in ways that don't make sense. Like they're folding space around themselves. Through his connection with Kael Na, Taeho suddenly understood what was happening. The Void Devourers had felt their ancient enemy's power returning. They were coming to finish what they had started eons ago. You have done well, Taeho of the humans. Kael Na's voice filled his mind. Better than you know. My prison is now fully operational, but more importantly, I am connected to the cosmic forces once again. That's good, right? You can protect yourself now? Not just myself. I can protect others. But first I must understand the threat we face. The crystal chamber around Teho began to change. The walls became transparent, showing him views of space that his human eyes shouldn't have been able to see. He watched in horror as reality itself began to twist and bend near the approaching entities. The Void Devourers were not ships or creatures in any sense he understood. They were tears in the fabric of existence itself, places where the universe had been eaten away and replaced with something else, something hungry and wrong. Jiwoo, we need to leave now. I've been trying to tell you that for the past hour. But Teho, there's something else. I'm receiving a priority transmission from Earth Defense Command. The transmission was garbled with interference, but Admiral Lee So-young's voice came through clearly enough. All civilian vessels in the outer rim sectors evacuate immediately. Unknown hostile entities detected. Repeat, evacuate immediately. The transmission cut off as something began jamming all subspace communications in the region. They cannot hear you now, Kelna said. The Devourers bring silence wherever they go. They consume not just matter and energy but information itself. Then we run. We get out of here before they arrive. You cannot run from them, Teho. They do not simply move through space. They remake space as they go. There is nowhere to flee that they cannot follow. Through the crystal walls, Teho watched the first of the Void Devourers enter the system. Where it passed, stars flickered and went out. Not destroyed, but simply erased from existence. The very concept of them was being devoured. Then what do? We fight. But not as I fought before. I was alone then, and my solitude made me vulnerable to their corruption. But you, Teho, you represent something new, something they have never encountered. Suddenly the chamber filled with light as Kael Na revealed his true form. He appeared as a towering figure made of living starlight, beautiful and terrible at the same time. Energy flowed around him like cosmic winds, and his eyes held the wisdom of eons. Your species intrigues me, Kael'na continued. I have observed many civilizations through my prison's sensors. All of them, when faced with the Void Devourers, either went mad or became slaves to entropy. But humans are different. How are we different? Your minds are chaotic yet stable. You can hold contradictory ideas without breaking. You see problems and instinctively try to fix them, even when logic says they cannot be fixed. This quality, this stubborn refusal to accept impossibility, may be the key to defeating the Devourers. Jiwoo's panicked voice cut through their conversation. Teho, whatever you're doing in there, hurry up. 3 more of those things just appeared, and they're heading straight for us. Teho looked at the magnificent being before him. What do you need me to do? Allow me to share my power with you. Become my partner in this fight. But I must warn you, the process is dangerous. Your human form was not designed to contain cosmic forces. You may die, and if I don't do it, then everything dies. The Devourers will consume this galaxy as they have consumed countless others. Teho thought of Jiwoo alone on their ship, facing creatures that could erase existence itself. He thought of Earth, of all the worlds where humans lived and worked and dreamed. He thought of his simple life fixing broken things and realized that the universe itself was broken now. Do it, he said. Are you certain? Once begun, the process cannot be stopped. I'm certain. Kael'na reached out with one hand made of pure energy. When he touched Teho's forehead, the universe exploded into impossible colors and sensations. Pain beyond description tore through Teho's body as cosmic forces flowed into his human cells. He felt his consciousness expanding, touching the fundamental forces that held reality together. He could see the quantum foam that underlied all existence, feel the gravitational currents that flowed between galaxies, but he also felt himself changing. His human body was adapting, evolving, becoming something that could survive in the spaces between realities. The process should have killed him instantly, but his stubborn human refusal to give up kept him conscious and fighting. Jiwoo, he gasped into his calm. Get ready for company. I'm coming back, but I'm bringing help. Teho, you sound different. Are you okay? I'm better than okay, and I know how to fight these things. Through his new cosmic awareness, Teho could sense the Void Devourers approaching. They moved like cancer through reality, leaving trails of nothingness behind them. But he could also see their weakness. They were strong against order and chaos separately, but humans represented something they had never faced before: ordered chaos. The transformation is complete, Kael'na said with satisfaction. You are the first of a new kind of guardian. human enough to remain sane, cosmic enough to fight in the spaces where reality becomes fluid. Tejo stood up, feeling power flow through him like electricity through his old repair tools. He could fix this. He could fix the damage the Devourers caused to reality itself. "Let's go save the galaxy," he said. The first Void Devourer hit the outer mining station of Beta 7 without warning. One moment the station was there, bustling with 3,000 workers extracting rare minerals from the asteroid belt. The next moment it simply wasn't, not destroyed, not blown apart, just gone, as if it had never existed at all. Tejo felt the disappearance through his new cosmic awareness like a physical blow. He was floating in space near the crystal prison, still getting used to his transformed body when reality rippled and a piece of the universe just vanished. "Did you feel that?" he asked Kyle-Na, who materialized beside him in his form of living starlight. "I felt it. 3,000 minds snuffed out in an instant. This is how the Devourers work. They don't kill, they erase." Jiwoo's panicked voice crackled through the emergency channels. "Tejo, we're getting reports from across the outer rim. 7 stations have gone dark in the past hour. No distress signals, no explosions, just nothing." Through the transformed sensors of the crystal prison, Tejo could see the approaching threat. The Void Devourers moved through space like holes in reality itself. Where they passed, stars flickered and went dim. Space itself seemed to fold inward, creating geometric impossibilities that hurt to look at. "How many?" Tejo asked. 12 confirmed contacts, but the sensors keep losing them. It's like they exist and don't exist at the same time. Kale-Na's expression grew grim. "These are just scouts. The main force will be 1,000 times larger. Then we need to test our abilities now while the odds are manageable." The first volunteers for transformation had already arrived. Commander Han Soo-jin stepped forward first, her military uniform still scorched from her encounter with the Devourers near Rigel. Her entire squadron had been turned into twisted metal sculptures before disappearing. "Completely. I want to hurt them back," she said simply. "They took my people. All of them." The transformation chamber glowed with cosmic energy as Kale-Na began the process. Tejo watched in fascination and horror as Han's body adapted to contain forces that should have torn her apart. Her mind, trained by years of combat, held together through sheer willpower and anger. When the light faded, Han stood changed. Energy flowed around her like invisible wings, and her eyes held depths that reflected the space between stars. "How do you feel?" Tejo asked. "Like I can fly through anything," Han replied. She tested her new abilities, moving through space as easily as walking through air, and like I can see the weak spots in their armor. Dr. Yoon Hyerin volunteered next. She had been studying tissue samples from Devourer encounters when her entire research station was consumed. She escaped only because she happened to be in a shielded laboratory that somehow remained intact. "I need to understand what they are," she explained as Kale-Na prepared her transformation. "If we're going to fight them, we need to know their biology." Yoon's transformation was different from Han's. Where Han gained the ability to move through twisted space, Yoon developed senses that could perceive reality on multiple levels simultaneously. She could see the Devourers not as they appeared, but as they truly were. "They're not alive," she gasped as her new awareness kicked in. "Not in any sense we understand. They're more like wounds in existence itself." Captain Nam Woo-bin was the third volunteer. His entire fleet had been at dock for maintenance when the Devourers struck. In 5 minutes, 200 ships and 50,000 crew members simply ceased to exist. Nam survived only because he was in the bathroom when it happened. "My people trusted me to protect them," he said. "I failed. I won't fail again." Nam's transformation gave him the strangest ability of all. He could create bubbles of stable reality around himself and others. Inside his protective field, normal physics worked correctly even when surrounded by the Devourer's reality-warping presence. "I can keep things real," he said with wonder, testing his new power. "No matter what they do to space around us inside my field, everything stays normal." With 3 transformed guardians ready, Tejo felt more confident about facing the approaching scouts. But confidence evaporated when the first Devourer reached their position. The entity was impossible to describe in normal terms. It looked like a tear in the fabric of space, shaped vaguely like a jellyfish made of nothingness. Where it moved, reality followed different rules. Up became sideways, Distance became color and time flowed backward and forward simultaneously. "Stay together," Teho ordered the other guardians. Keep us anchored to normal reality. Han, see if you can confuse it. Yoon, tell us what you're seeing." The battle that followed was unlike anything in military history. Han flew directly at the Devourer, her new abilities allowing her to move through the twisted space around it. She couldn't hurt it directly, but she could force it to focus on her instead of the evacuation ships fleeing the area. Yoon used her enhanced perception to track the creature's movements across multiple dimensions. "It's not trying to destroy the ship," she reported. "It's trying to understand them. It wants to know how they work so it can remake them." Nam surrounded the evacuation convoy with his reality field, creating a pocket of normal space where the refugee ships could function properly. Inside his protection, engines worked correctly, and navigation systems could plot real courses through space. And Teho worked frantically to repair the damage the Devourer caused simply by existing. Every second it remained in normal space, reality became a little more unstable. But his new abilities allowed him to fix the tears, stitching existence back together like mending a torn fabric. "It's working," Jiwoo shouted from the Lucky Star, which was safely inside Nam's reality bubble. "You're actually fighting it." But the fight was taking its toll. Each guardian was pushing their new abilities to the limit, and human bodies weren't designed to channel cosmic forces indefinitely. Teho could feel his cells beginning to burn out from the strain. "We can't keep this up forever," he warned the others. That's when Dr. Yoon made a crucial discovery. "It's not hostile," she said suddenly. "The Devourer isn't attacking us out of malice. It's confused. It doesn't understand why we're fighting back." "What do you mean?" "Look at its movement patterns. It's not predatory. It's exploratory, like a scientist studying specimens." Through his cosmic awareness, Teho reached out to touch the Devourer's mind. What he found there shocked him. The entity wasn't evil or hungry. It was lost and lonely, trying desperately to recreate something it had lost long ago. "It's looking for home," Teho realized. "It wants to turn our reality into something familiar." This understanding changed the nature of their fight. Instead of battling a monster, they were dealing with a confused refugee from a dead universe. The Devourer wasn't trying to destroy their galaxy. It was trying to transform it into a pale copy of its lost homeland. "Can we communicate with it?" Han asked. "I think so," Teho said. Using his connection to cosmic forces, he projected thoughts of peace and understanding toward the entity. The Devourer paused in its reality-warping activities. For a moment, Teho felt its attention focus on him with an intensity that nearly shattered his mind. Then, slowly, the creature began to withdraw, not fleeing but retreating to consider this new information. Humans were the first beings it had encountered that could perceive its true nature and respond with something other than terror or aggression. "It's leaving," Yoon observed as the Devourer faded back into the spaces between dimensions. "But not because we defeated it, because we confused it." "Will it be back?" Nam asked. "Oh yes," Kilna said grimly, "and it won't be alone." "Our victory here was small but significant. We proved that humans can fight these entities and survive. More importantly, we proved that communication might be possible." As they returned to the crystal prison, Teho felt a mixture of hope and dread. They had won their first battle against the Void Devourers, but he could sense thousands more stirring in the darkness between galaxies. The real war was just beginning. But for the first time since this crisis started, he believed they might have a chance to end it without destroying everything they were trying to protect. "Get word to Earth," he told Jiwoo. "We need more volunteers. A lot more. And tell them what we learned today. The Devourers aren't monsters. They're refugees. And maybe, just maybe, we can help them find a better way home." News of the victory against the first Void Devourer spread across the galaxy, faster than any ship could travel. For the first time in months, civilizations that had been preparing for extinction began to hope again. Someone had fought the reality eaters and lived to tell about it. The crystal prison that had once held Kailna became the busiest place in known space. Ships arrived daily from every corner of the galaxy, carrying volunteers who wanted to join the Guardian Corps. The docking bays overflowed with vessels from hundreds of different species, all hoping that humans could save them from the approaching darkness. Teho stood in the main command center, watching the chaos with mixed feelings. 3 weeks had passed since their first battle, and the transformation process had claimed the lives of 37 volunteers. Each death weighed on his conscience like a physical burden. "The next group is ready," Dr. Yoon reported. She had taken charge of screening volunteers, using her enhanced senses to identify which candidates might survive the cosmic transformation. 5 humans from the mining colonies, 2 from Earth's military, and 1 civilian engineer. "Any aliens this time?" Taeho asked. "I told them not to bother. We've tried transforming representatives from 12 different species. They all died within minutes. Something about human brain structure makes us uniquely suited for this process." Commander Han floated past the viewport, her energy form blazing against the stars as she trained new Guardians in combat techniques. In 3 weeks, she had become the military leader of their growing force, teaching volunteers how to fight in spaces where normal physics broke down. "Current numbers?" Taeho asked. 43 successful transformations, Jiwoo answered from her coordinator station. "Plus you and the original 3. But Taeho, we're getting reports that the main Devourer force is moving faster than expected." Captain Nam materialized beside them, his reality field flickering with exhaustion. He had been working non-stop to protect evacuation fleets throughout the Outer Rim sectors. "They're not just moving faster," he said grimly. "They're getting smarter. The scouts we fought were learning from each encounter. Now they're coordinating their attacks." Through the massive view screen, they watched the latest sensor readings from the galaxy's edge. Red dots marked the positions of confirmed Devourer contacts, and there were thousands of them. Each dot represented an entity capable of erasing entire star systems from existence. "How long before they reach the core worlds?" Taeho asked. 6 days, Dr. Yoon said quietly. "Maybe less if they maintain their current acceleration. And if they reach the galactic center?" Kael'na's voice echoed through the chamber as his starlight form appeared. "If they consume the central black hole, they can use its gravitational field to unravel space-time across the entire galaxy. Everything we know will cease to exist." Taeho felt the weight of impossible responsibility settle on his shoulders. 47 Guardians against thousands of cosmic entities that could erase reality itself. The odds were beyond hopeless. "There has to be another way," he said, his engineer's mind working on the problem. "We can't fight them all directly." "But maybe we don't have to." "Explain," Commander Han requested. "Look at what we learned from the first battle. The Devourers aren't just destroying things randomly. They're trying to recreate their lost universe. They're refugees, not conquerors. Refugees that have consumed entire galaxies," Nam pointed out, "because they don't know any better. But what if we could show them a different path?" Dr. Yoon's enhanced senses suddenly detected something new in the approaching Devourer fleet. "Taeho, you need to see this. The lead entities, they're different from the others." The main display zoomed in on the largest contacts at the front of the invasion. These Devourers were massive beyond comprehension, each one the size of a star system. But more importantly, they moved with purpose and intelligence that the scouts had lacked. "Those are the survivors," Kael'na said with recognition. "The original inhabitants of the dead universe. The others are just echoes, shadows of things that once existed. But these remember what they lost. Can we communicate with them?" Taeho asked. "Perhaps, but approaching them would be suicide. Their grief is so vast it could drive even a transformed human insane." A new alarm sounded through the command center. Jiwoo's face went pale as she read the incoming reports. "Emergency transmission from the Rigel system. 3 Devourer scouts just appeared there. They're not attacking the evacuation fleets." "What are they doing?" Commander Han demanded. "They're studying them. Just watching the ships and scanning them with some kind of energy field." Through his cosmic awareness, Taeho felt a chill of understanding. "They're learning how we work, how our technology functions, how our minds think. They're preparing for something. Preparing for what? To make us into them. To transform our entire galaxy into a copy of their dead universe." The next few hours brought a flood of similar reports. Devourer scouts appeared throughout the galaxy, not to destroy but to observe. They studied human cities, alien worlds, and space stations with the intensity of scientists preparing for a massive experiment. "We need to accelerate the Guardian program," Commander Han said. "Get as many transformed humans as possible before the main force arrives." "The process is already as fast as we can make it," Dr. Yoon protested. "Push any harder and we'll kill more volunteers than we save." "Then we need a different strategy," Taeho said. He had been thinking about this problem for days. applying his engineering mindset to what seemed like an impossible challenge. What if we don't try to fight all of them? What if we focus on the leaders? The original survivors, Kelna mused. If we could reach them, communicate with them, perhaps convince them to abandon their quest? It's still suicide, Nam said. Those entities are grief incarnate. Getting close to them would be like flying into a black hole made of pure sorrow. Not if we approach them the right way, Tejo said. Not as enemies, but as engineers, people who understand loss and want to help fix what's broken. Dr. Yoon was studying the sensor readings of the lead devourers with her enhanced perception. There's something else. The way they move, the patterns they follow. It's not random. They're following old star charts, trying to navigate by constellations that don't exist anymore. They're lost, Tejo realized, not just spiritually but literally. They're trying to find their way home to a universe that died billions of years ago. This revelation changed everything. The Void Devourers weren't invaders seeking conquest. They were cosmic refugees, desperately trying to recreate the only home they had ever known. Their tragedy was so vast that it had driven them to consume entire galaxies in a futile attempt to bring back the dead. I have an idea, Tejo said slowly, but it's dangerous. More dangerous than anything we've attempted so far. Tell us, Commander Han said. What if we don't fight the main force when it arrives? What if we help them instead? Help them destroy the galaxy? Nam asked incredulously. Help them understand that some things can't be fixed, that sometimes the kindest thing to do is let go. Kael'na was silent for a long moment. You're proposing to heal entities of cosmic scale? To provide therapy to beings that have consumed galaxies? The amount of power required, the mental strain. It could kill every guardian we have, maybe, Tejo admitted. But it's the only way I can see to save the galaxy without becoming monsters ourselves. Through the view screen, they watched the approaching devourer fleet. Thousands of entities driven by grief so profound it could unmake reality itself. In 6 days they would reach the galactic core and attempt to transform everything into a shadow of their lost home. All volunteers to the transformation chambers, Commander Han ordered. If we're going to try Tejo's plan, we'll need every guardian we can get. As the newest volunteers entered Kael'na's cosmic embrace, Tejo felt the weight of the coming battle. They weren't preparing for war anymore. They were preparing for the largest act of compassion in galactic history. Whether it would save them all or destroy them remained to be seen. The final day arrived with sirens screaming across every inhabited world in the galaxy. The main force of Void Devourers had reached the inner systems, and reality itself was beginning to break down under their influence. Stars flickered like dying candles. Planets shifted into impossible shapes, and space-time bent in ways that made navigation meaningless. Tejo floated in the Crystal Prison's command center, surrounded by 68 other human guardians. Each one blazed with cosmic energy, their transformed bodies barely able to contain the forces flowing through them. They were the galaxy's last hope, and they were about to attempt something that had never been tried before. Final positions confirmed, Commander Han reported. Her voice carried across space through their shared cosmic connection. All evacuation fleets are in Nam's reality bubbles. Civilian populations are as safe as we can make them. Through the main view screen, they could see the approaching nightmare. Thousands of Void Devourers moved through space like a plague of nothingness, each one a hole in existence itself. At their center were the largest entities, the original survivors of the dead universe, radiating grief so intense it warped reality for light years around them. Dr. Yoon, what are you reading? Tejo asked. Pain, she whispered, her enhanced senses overwhelmed by the emotional energy radiating from the lead devourers. Such incredible pain. They've been carrying this loss for billions of years, and it's driven them completely mad. Are you sure about this plan? Captain Nam asked. His reality field flickered with uncertainty as he maintained protection around the evacuation fleets. We're talking about trying to heal entities that have consumed entire galaxies. It's the only way, Tejo said. Fighting them just makes them more desperate. But if we can help them accept their loss, maybe they'll finally find peace. Kael'na materialized beside them, his starlight form dimmer than usual. The ancient guardian was preparing to sacrifice himself in the coming effort, channeling all his remaining power into the healing attempt. Remember, he said to the assembled guardians, we are not trying to defeat them. We are trying to help them remember who they were before grief consumed them. The first contact came when the lead devourer entered the galactic core region. It was massive beyond comprehension, the size of several star systems, and its presence immediately began unraveling the fabric of spacetime around the central black hole. "This is it," Tejo said. "All Guardians with me." What followed was the strangest battle in cosmic history. Instead of attacking the Void Devourers, the human Guardians surrounded them with something they had never encountered before: compassion. Tejo led the way, flying directly toward the largest entity. As he approached, waves of grief and loss crashed over him like a tsunami of sorrow. The Devourer had once been a star, the heart of a solar system that supported billions of lives. When its universe died, it couldn't accept that everything it had protected was gone forever. "I know you're in pain," Tejo said, reaching out with his cosmic abilities to touch the entity's tortured consciousness. "I know you miss them, but destroying our galaxy won't bring them back." The star entity paused in its reality-warping activities, turning its attention to the small human who dared approach. For a moment, Tejo felt the full weight of its grief, and it nearly shattered his mind. Billions of years of loss and regret, an entire universe worth of memories that would never return. But Tejo was an engineer. He understood broken things, and this entity was the most broken thing he had ever encountered. "You were beautiful once," he said, projecting images of what the star must have been like in its prime. "You gave light and warmth to so many worlds. You were a protector, a creator of life." Around him, the other Guardians were working on the smaller Devourers. Commander Han used her abilities to show them memories of joy and peace from the living galaxy, reminding them that new life could still flourish even after old life ended. Dr. Yoon helped them understand the natural cycle of death and rebirth that governed all existence. Slowly, incredibly, the Devourers began to respond. The hungry nothingness that defined them started to fill with something else: recognition. As they remembered their true nature, the desperate need to recreate their dead universe began to fade. "It's working," Dr. Yoon gasped. "They're starting to remember." But the effort was taking a terrible toll on the human Guardians. Healing entities of cosmic scale required enormous amounts of energy, and human bodies weren't designed to channel such forces. One by one, the Guardians began to burn out, their transformed cells unable to contain the power flowing through them. Commander Han was the first to fall, her energy form flickering and fading as she poured everything she had into healing a devourer that had once been an entire planet. "Tell my squadron I kept my promise," she whispered before dissolving into peaceful starlight. Dr. Yoon followed soon after, using her final moments to show a group of smaller devourers the scientific beauty of how new universes were born from the ashes of old ones. "The cycle continues," she said with her last breath. Captain Nam held on longer, maintaining his reality field around the evacuation fleets even as his own existence began to unravel. "Keep the people safe," he told Tejo before joining the growing constellation of guardian spirits. Tejo felt each loss like a dagger to his heart, but he couldn't stop now. The largest devourer, the star entity, was finally beginning to understand. Through their connection, he showed it memories of all the new stars that had been born since its universe died, all the new life that had emerged from cosmic dust. "Your time ended naturally," Tejo said, pouring his own life force into the healing. "It was beautiful while it lasted, but endings aren't failures. They're completions." The moment of breakthrough came when the star entity finally remembered not just what it had lost, but what it had given during its lifetime. For billions of years it had provided light and energy to countless worlds. Its death had been part of the natural order, making way for new stars to be born. "I understand," the entity said, its voice like the music of spheres. "I have been trying to steal life from others because I could not accept my own ending. This was wrong." As acceptance flowed through the former star, it spread to the other devourers like ripples in a cosmic pond. The grief that had driven them for eons began to dissolve, replaced by a peaceful understanding of their true nature. One by one, the void devourers stopped their reality-warping activities. The hungry emptiness that had defined them filled with warm starlight as they remembered who they had been before grief consumed them. "Thank you," the star entity said to Tejo as it began to fade. "Thank you for helping us remember how to let go." With a collective sigh that seemed to echo across dimensions, The void devourers dissolved into whatever realm awaited beings who had finally found peace. The galaxy was saved, but at a terrible cost. Of the 69 guardians who had participated in the healing, only 12 survived. The cosmic forces required to heal such massive entities had burned out the others, leaving them as peaceful energy that drifted away to join the departed devourers. Tejo barely survived himself, his human body so damaged by cosmic energies that he existed more as a pattern of living light than flesh and blood. But he was alive, and more importantly, the universe was whole again. "Did we win?" he asked weakly. "You did more than win," Kael'na replied, his own form beginning to fade as his purpose was finally complete. "You showed mercy to entities that had consumed galaxies. You proved that even cosmic-scale grief can be healed with enough compassion." In the days that followed, the surviving guardians worked to establish a new order. The Crystal Prison became a school where humans learned to balance cosmic power with human wisdom. Jiwoo, who had coordinated the entire operation, became the first director of the Guardian Academy. "We're not training weapons," she told each new class of students. "We're training cosmic healers. People who can fix broken things no matter how big or impossible they seem." The galaxy entered a new age of peace, protected by a species that saw every problem as something that could be solved with enough creativity and compassion. Humans spread throughout the stars not as conquerors but as guardians, always ready to help when something went wrong. And in the depths of space, where the final healing had taken place, a simple memorial drifted among the stars. It read, "They fixed what seemed impossible to repair." The age of the human guardians had begun, and the universe was a little less broken because of it.